We take a look at the new Starfleet Academy series and what guest characters would we like to see appear alongside Holly Hunter and Robert Picardo and Paul Giamatti in this new Star Trek show. Well, today we're talking about Starfleet Academy, the new series coming out. And as we know, Starfleet Academy is successor to the Star Trek Discovery series, set in the same time era. And we already know that some of the characters from Star Trek Discovery will be carrying on into the Starfleet Academy series. We know that Reno is going to be a regular character, Tilly is going to be making guest appearances, and we also know that Admiral Vance is going to be carrying over Starfleet Academy as well. I put out a poll to the Star Trek fan community asking you guys what other Star Trek characters would you guys like to see show up as guest appearances in the new Star Trek Starfleet Academy series. Coming in at number 10 with 10% of the vote, we have Commander Nhan. Commander Nhan was an interesting character. She's obviously been in Discovery for quite some time. She left a bit and then came back for a bit, and there's a few guest appearances, renowned for unfortunate lines like "yum yum." And she went off and did some stuff in Starfleet, but then came back for a couple of episodes in the last couple of seasons of Discovery, and historically was the Chief of Security, a role that has played a fairly prominent role in most Star Trek series. She kind of left, and then we never really got a Chief of Security on Discovery for a little while there. People are vaguely interested in seeing her return for more yum-yum action. Coming in at number 9 was Lieutenant Commander Reese. Now, Reese is one of those characters, particularly in the last season of Discovery, I thought we were going to get to learn a bit more of. The fact that he loves the Constitution class. There was a lot of hinting between him and Raina that we were going to get to know Reese a little bit more in the last season of Discovery. But it never really panned out that much, which is sort of like a common theme with a lot of the supporting characters on Discovery. I thought there were a lot of missed opportunities, particularly when we did see a Constitution class come into that last season, and the big setup that there was there with his love of that class of ship, and it never really paying off. Reese has been there right from the beginning of Discovery, but the series concluded without really knowing much about this guy at all. Coming in at number 8 with 12% of the vote was Michael Burnham. Considering she was the lead character on Discovery, coming in so low in the poll here at only 12% of the vote, I think speaks to perhaps a bit of Burnham fatigue from fans out there. An oversaturation of her character in Discovery. It was the Michael Burnham show. It was always about Michael Burnham. People kind of felt like she's had so much screen time in the course of Discovery. Let's give other characters a bit more of time in the sun. Coming in at number 7 with 13% of the vote was Joanne Aosen, filling the chair on the bridge of Discovery in the ops position. For most of the run of Discovery, I kind of felt like the last season we didn't see her much at all. There was a few little glimpses of her character where we got to see her in the fighting ring on an away mission with Burnham in a previous season. But the fact that she wasn't in the season almost at all, apart from very brief appearance in the first episode or two, and then for a montage at the end of the show to kind of wrap it up, kind of feels like some of these characters were sort of not much better than just extras. I think Owo, as Pike often called her when he was captain, deserved a bit more development, and obviously coming in at number 7 here with 13% of the vote, people are more interested in seeing more of Owo than Burnham, so that speaks a bit to her character. Coming in at number 6 with 16% of the vote was Dr. Culber. Now, Dr. Culber had quite a bit more screen time in the last season of Discovery. He was a heavily featured character throughout the course of the 5th season storyline, and I think we saw some good episodes with Culber. He probably rose up a rank or two in the eyes of Star Trek fans during this last season, and we did see some interesting development from Culber in that last season, so I guess that appealed to fans and set him in a decent stead for some potential future appearances. That being said, we know that Robert Picardo is reprising his role as the Holo Doctor in Starfleet Academy as a regular character, so I think there's maybe less chance, unless Culber wants to do some sort of medical collaboration with the Holo Doctor. The opportunities for medical officers are probably a little bit more limited, but still 16% of you guys want to see him back again for more appearances, coming in at number 6. If you're looking to discover one of the best pocket-sized earbuds in the quadrant, iBuds deliver stellar performance and superb lightweight comfort. I used them on my very own away mission recently, and I was really impressed with their powerful, balanced surround sound and customized snug feel. My son, who uses his Apple Earbuds Pro on a daily basis, said these ones sounded just as good, which is amazing at a fraction of the cost. Active noise cancelling mode with dual mics that remove up to -42 dB of unwanted background noise while accurately pinpointing voice for crystal clear calls was second to none. none. But if I needed to stay on high alert, then ambient transparency mode will let in everything around you. For the best of both worlds, there's a 50-50 mix you can choose. Whatever your preference, it's even easier than tapping a comm badge to toggle between the 3 listening modes, and with touch to talk, you can also control music, take calls, or chat with voice assistant just by touching the Bud logo. If you're working, playing, or away on shore leave, these buds deliver 6 hours of listening with ANC on, or up to 36 hours with the pocket-sized fast charge case. And you always know battery status with the built-in LED display. No need to keep an eye on bad M-Class planet weather or getting hot and sweaty, because the iBuds are even certified water, sweat, and dust resistant and can handle it all. And with the latest Bluetooth 5.3 chipset, they're widely compatible and easily auto-pair with all devices. So listen long and prosper. Hit the link below using the promo code Sci-Fanatic for an amazing 25% off discount and make your life sound beautiful with iBuds. Coming in at number 5 was Kayla Dema. Dema, I think, has always been a very interesting character on the show, but much like Oo and Reese, not really given that much airtime. Sitting in the helm position of the Discovery for many years, seeing some cool maneuverings and some very adept piloting skills, much like other characters, not getting to know her particularly well at all. There were some interesting things done with her character in terms of her cybernetic implants early in the show, but more could have been made of this, much like Geordie's visor in Next Generation. And with 21% of the vote, there's a relative amount of interest in seeing Dema develop to perhaps a little bit more in the Starfleet Academy series. Maybe be part of the crew for the away missions or excursions that the students are going to go on a starship. Coming in at number 4 with 22% of the vote was Linus. I think Linus is a great character and was always used on Discovery with great effect comedically. He was always awkwardly standing in a turbo lift, making some comical observation. He had a cold, or he would say something quirky or offbeat. And I think the amount of humour and one-liners in a dry comedic way, I think really endeared the character to audiences. And I think people would absolutely love to know more about this character and what makes him tick. So it's no surprise to me that he comes in at number 4 on the survey. Coming in at number 3 with 32% of the vote was a tie between Kovich and Stamitz. Kovich is a very interesting character. In that last episode of Discovery, we learned that Kovich was also Agent Daniels from Star Trek Enterprise. Once this reveal was made, it's like, oh, this is very interesting. It made audiences sit back and go, oh, okay, let's fill in a bit more of the blanks on this character. Like, he's always been a bit of a mysterious character. I always thought he might have been connected to Section 31 in some capacity, but knowing that he was also Agent Daniels going back to Star Trek Enterprise, I think it would be very interesting to see this character return. If he was returned, would we want to see the David Cronenberg version of Kovich, or do we want to see Matt Winston come back to be Daniels again? There was no solid answer as to what race he was. The fact that he is such a long-lived character means he isn't human. Therefore, I would be certainly open to seeing this same character come back in Starfleet Academy, but appearing, in Matt Winston form, as opposed to David Cronenberg form. But, I mean, both would be good. I think there's plenty more stories to be told and interesting covert missions to be had under the guidance of Kovich, so it makes sense that he would come in at number 3 in the poll. Paul Stamets was a very interesting character. He started off a little bit prickly in the earlier seasons, but then mellowed out towards the end. He was always a good source of scientific kind of wisdom, but also the occasional moment of levity, with some nice sparring moments between him and Reno and other characters as well. He was an amusing character. He was also a very professional person, and also we got to see his tender side with the relationship between him and Culber. I think he's probably one of the most broad characters on Discovery, being able to play comedy, drama, tenderness, a bit of everything. And I also know that Anthony Rapp was one of the biggest Trekkies in the cast of Discovery. It would certainly be welcome to see him return as a guest on Starfleet Academy. Coming in at number 2 with 33% of the vote is Commander Raina. I think Commander Raina was a great addition to the show in the 5th season of Discovery. A rough around the edges captain demoted to commander to take the place of first officer on board the Discovery for the final season of the show. And I think he definitely made a great foil to Burnham with his gruff, no-nonsense character. I certainly think his character left audiences wanting more at the end of Discovery, because we only just got to know him in the last season of the show, but his character was a very interesting interesting one. And certainly there's many more stories out there that could be told with Raina as part of the crew. It makes sense to me why he comes in at number 2 in the survey with 33% of the vote. And finally, our number 1 position, coming in with 37% of the vote, is none other than our favourite Kelpian, Saru. I think right from the get-go of Star Trek Discovery, Saru was a fan favourite. He had gravitas as the initial first officer of Discovery under the original Captain Giorgio. He made a great first officer to Pike in the second season. I think the best dynamic from him was in the third season of Discovery, where Saru was the captain of Discovery and Burnham was the first officer. I always thought that was the best dynamic of the show. And then in the last season of the show, we saw his bump up to ambassador for the Federation, which I think had a great amount of gravitas to it. Saru is always very wise and knowledgeable. He's gentle where he needs to be, but obviously also with his interactions with the Breen in the 5th season of the show, you knew this guy meant business when he put his action Saru pants on, and certainly knew how to kick ass when he needed to. Obviously a fan favourite throughout the series. I think Saru was one of the best things about Star Trek Discovery throughout its 5-year run on the show, and obviously you guys thought so as well. Loving to see Saru back in some capacity for the new Starfleet Academy series. It is absolutely no surprise to me that Saru takes out the number 1 position on our poll as the most popular character we would like to see return to Starfleet Academy in that series. The poor old characters that didn't rank much of a mention at all, that nobody wants to see back again, that scored less than 10% of the vote, were Adira, Tarina, Book, Nilsson, and President Rillick. Nobody seems to want to see any of these characters return again from the looks of it. But what do you guys think? Do you think this top 10 was ranked appropriately? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section and we'll get chatting about that. Don't forget to check out those iBuds for 25% off discount. Links in the description. Guys, if you haven't subscribed to Sci-Finatics yet, don't be shy to do so. Click on that big subscribe button to stay current and up to date with all the latest Star Trek news on YouTube. And also be sure to check out my cool merch in the merch store. T-shirts, hoodies, mugs, caps. Great Star Trek, great sci-fi designs in there. There's always bargains going on and sales going on, and it really helps support the channel and keeps things rolling along. Thanks very much for your support. I'll be back soon with the next video. I'll catch you guys then.